might ask ourselves, what's going on today in the gospel? And as I listen to the gospel, I think back to all the Hallmark cards, the sentimentality of each of them. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, the shepherds gathered around, the wise men. And all of that was so real just a few days ago. And yet today, it's a different story. What happened? This week in the gospel, the reality of life sets in. The nice manger scene kind of disappears from the readings. It's no longer the shepherds hearing the voice of the angels singing peace on earth, or the little drummer boy in the background. The sentimentality ends abruptly with King Herod ordering the slaughter of the children. We call them the Holy Innocents, all around Bethlehem and its vicinity. All of the children who are 2 years old or younger. It's probably not a story that we would have our preschoolers act out before Christmas. And I'm sure it will never make its way on our Christmas cards. And so we honor the first martyrs, the holy innocents, the victims of Herod's way of doing things, a way of vengeance, unrestrained power, greed, fear, anger, hatred. And meanwhile, Mary and Joseph, they have to go into exile. They have to flee their homeland. They're displaced refugees, undocumented immigrants living in Egypt. And we would rather not hear that message when the Christmas carols are still echoing in our head. But no matter how loud we sing our songs of peace, the headlines still read about poverty, violence, disappointment, fear, death, in a world that can and is at times very brutal, because it's about Herod's way of doing things. In the words of Jeremiah, the prophet still echo, not in some distant world, but in our world right here. Those words are, a voice was heard in Ramah, Rachel weeping for her children, and she refused comfort because they are no more. That cry of Rachel is still heard. It's heard in the Sudan. It's heard in Syria, where 6 million people stand in line and wait to be fed every single day. Areas of famine and war. The inhumanity to the unborn and the born in all the stages of life. And so as we come here as followers of Jesus' way, we know that his reign and his way was subversive to the political powers of the day. And so Jesus asks us tonight, on this Feast of the Holy Family, as we come together as a family, as a community, many families all brought together, many different configurations, many different ways of loving one another. But Jesus asks us to do the world in a different way than we have done or are doing. One theologian writes that sentimentality is one of the greatest obstacles to understanding the Gospels. And so the church, in its reading today, brings us back down to earth. So the birth of Jesus challenges that sentimentality of the moment. It reminds us that God entered the world, shared our humanity, like us in all things. But like the Magi, we are told that God's love has to reach beyond the barriers that separate us and the world from divine love and peace and justice. So today we go on like the Magi. We are told not to return to our old way of doing things, the way of Herod, but to seek and to try to find another way. God bless you.